Hey guys, welcome back to Cereal at Midnight. This is a big deal because we are commemorating the 75th anniversary of Peanuts. And on the 75th anniversary, which is actually a few days before this, but we are getting something we have never gotten before. This is Peanuts, the Ultimate TV Specials Collection, 40 specials on Blu-ray. There's also, wow, a DVD release. Who better to talk to these two releases than Jason Mendelson, the son of Lee Mendelson? Jason, welcome back
Thank
to Serial at Midnight.
thank you, Heath. That's my home away from home. I love joining you, and I'm so happy that you want to talk about this because we're really excited about it. And as you said, it's 75 years of Peanuts, October 2nd. Charlie Brown walks on the stage in the strip. And it's also this year the 60th anniversary of A Charlie Brown Christmas, the first animated Peanut special that premiered back in December of 1965. So we're really excited about all the anniversaries and all things Peanuts.
It's because there are so many of these. There's often an anniversary to celebrate too, because you're like, it's the 40th of this, and it's the 20th of this. This is now. Tell me, you're closer to this stuff than I am because you've worked on it for so many years. But the only thing I can remember that's even close to this kind of a release is when there was the 1960s collection, like Peanuts in the 1960s, Peanuts in the 1970s, Part One and Part Two. That's about as close as we got to a bunch in one set, right?
Warner Brothers has done a great job of trying to pair up titles that you would get a primary title, so to speak, a more famous title, and then maybe another title that goes along with it. They've also, as you said, they did do I think they did a 60s, a 70s, and an 80s. You got a decade of titles, which is usually like 8, 9, 10 of them. But this is the first attempt to try to get a whole bunch of things together from the beginning towards the end. And so I think that's correct. This to me is the most that I've ever seen us release as one package. And so you get, the specials, and then some of the ones that aren't as well known and maybe haven't been out there or as easy to find or access. So yes.
Dude, there's specials on here I've never seen. I was looking at it's got this booklet inside with a list of all of the specials, and I'm going through here because I want this video to be kind of thorough. I want to be like, here's what's here and here's what's not here for because
Sure.
that's the first thing somebody's gonna say. So, but yeah, but what didn't make the cut?
Sure.
And I'm going through here and I'm like, okay, why Charlie Brown? Why? I don't remember why Charlie Brown. Why?
It's one of my father's favorite specials. They made it towards the end of their run. This is Charles Schulz wrote it. Bill Melendez animated it. My father produced it. It's an incredible special about a young girl who gets leukemia, and the
Mm.
kids go into the hospital and deal with the what it's like to maybe go through some of those experiences and also what it's like to be a friend in those situations. So it's a very, very meaningful episode.
It's a
I
special
think it was
episode of
on,
Charlie Brown.
yes, it was on CBS. I'm looking through too now. I don't even have the Blu-ray. I only have the
I know.
DVD copy. I'm looking through the book right now,
It's
and I'm
probably the
trying to,
exact same book though.
oh, it might be. I'm sure it is, but I'm trying to see what was the year 1990. So I didn't get to work on that. I just done the voices in Happy New Year a few years before that, but I think I was pubertied out of voicing the specials. I remember when my dad made it, I was only 12, 13 years old, but I remember watching it and feeling like, whoa, this is really heavy. They're really trying to say something.
Did
And
the Michael J.
Sparky,
Fox like, well, this is really heavy, Doc.
that's exactly what it was. And I probably had his hair. I probably usually do this was short for me, but for that special, this is back when Sparky wanted to make sure he was saying something with the specials too.
Yeah.
So I think when they did Why Charlie Brown Why, it was really important to him to talk about kids dealing with some very serious issues and how to deal with that as a kid, which is something only really Charlie Brown really ever did with stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I'm just thinking that was one, I think it was 1990.
It
It was on
was. Yeah.
ABC, but I can't remember when we last released it on DVD. But I do think for this release, it's just one of the many things you'll find that, like for you, is hopefully a sort of a buried hidden treasure that can
Yeah.
be revealed for people. I know one of my favorites, which came out the next year, was Snoopy's Reunion, which is where Snoopy goes back to Daisy Hill and finds all of his siblings and they start a band together. And it's one of the cuter episodes. But I think a lot of people know that one. That one's pretty well known because it's such a cute
Yeah.
amalgamation of all the other puppies and dogs. But I think for White Children Why, it's one of the real special ones. So
Yeah, here's
hopefully
the question. I'm not going to put you to this test, but could you name these in order of release just from memory? I bet you could. Don't do it. Don't try to do it.
I haven't been thinking. We're working on the records and on the 75th so much. I probably could in the same way I maybe could do the presidents if I was given an hour to prep. I
Right.
could maybe get them in order. I do know
And then we're
for
going to follow that up with listing all 50 states. We're going to give you a map and you
yeah,
have
the
to put all,
capitals.
yeah.
Yeah. I probably could. I certainly can. I could give you a story about almost any of them for the ones that either I was around for. The beauty of this for me is I wasn't even alive for half of these. They all
Right.
came from before my time, but of course, growing up with them and celebrating them every year. And now my brother Sean and I, we've been on with you many times, have gotten to talk about the music releases. We get to relive a lot of these things for the first time. And so for me, they're always like that. And it's funny because as a child, when we'd make the shows, it was usually 6 months before we'd record the voices before the show was on the air.
Hmm.
Then it was on the air once. I'd sit in my mom's bedroom and watch the show maybe if I was allowed to stay up late when I was a kid. And then maybe if the show was a big hit, it would repeat every year or repeat more often. But sometimes it was that one time I saw it, and then maybe I never saw it again until I was an adult working on the distribution of these things.
Yeah.
But the fun of it for me is great, you get this great it's now like 75 years of Peanuts, but it's 60 years of these cartoons. And there's 60 years of something to go back to that is both of its time, but also very special and timeless in many of these episodes. And so I think the hope is that if people get this, they can relate to something like people always relate to Charlie Brown Christmas, but maybe there's something else you can get out of some of the other lesser known titles. And to see them all together is an interesting experience because both the strip changed over the 75 years and the characters look totally different after the first few years. And then every decade they evolved. The same is true with the TV specials. Even though Bill Melendez animated all of these, there's an evolution of the characters,
Hmm.
Snoopy especially. But it's always, and I'll just share this aside, it's always been funny to me. I don't see it differently in my mind. So when I see Snoopy from A Charlie Brown Christmas, he's still the same as Snoopy from He's a Bully Charlie Brown in 2008 or the Snoopy that they're doing now. It's still the same character. And it's really, my brain can't process how differently he looks and his animation style over those 60 years. But it really is dramatic if you're looking for that. But for me, it's
Yeah.
still Charlie Brown is still always Charlie Brown. He still loses every game. He's still fighting for the redhead girl to pay attention or whatever else. That never changes. But both the style of the animation and some of the messaging did evolve over the 60 years, 75 years. So it's interesting to see that too.
Well, I should say, just to piggyback off of what you just said, people might be like, well, what's the span of this? So it starts with, and what I like about these is they're chronologically ordered on the discs. You start them with a Charlie Brown Christmas, and then they go in the order of creation and broadcast all the way through. So it's 1965 to I think 2011 is where
Yes.
yeah, Happiness is a Warm Blanket, Charlie Brown from 2011,
Yep.
and it's pretty much everything that was made during that. But there are five that I got to ask you about. There are five specials that are not here. So I'm like, okay. And you don't even have to say anything if you
I'll
like
answer what
no
I can. I'm
comment.
happy to.
I'll be like, ladies and gentlemen, Jason just stormed out of the room. He turned the lights off. No, okay, so Snoopy the musical from 1988 is not here.
Yes.
Is that maybe a rights issue because of the music, possibly?
I'm not sure the exact reason, but I know for Peanuts, that's not on Apple TV either. And it's not on this DVD. And I don't know that it's been released. I'd have to go. That's one you'd have to have me go back and look. I'm not sure if it ever came out on VHS, but it has never come out on DVD. So that one might be on the quote unquote prohibited list for whatever
Maybe
reason at this
so. Okay,
point.
another one is It's the Girl in the Red Truck, Charlie Brown, also from
So
1988, which had live action footage in it.
The Girl in the Red Truck is not technically a Peanuts special. It's a
Okay.
special that Charles Schulz wrote. He wrote the whole story. It's a movie, and it stars his daughter Jill Schulz, who was a fantastic roller skater and ice skater, and was one of the first spokesperson for rollerblade. She helped evolve from roller skates to rollerblade back at the same time. But that entire special is like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's all live action mixed in with the rotoscope character. So that's technically not part of the Peanuts specials history, but that is not on here. You are correct.
No, but that's good to know because somebody's always going to ask, well, why isn't so and so? And now you've answered the question.
Well, at least
Um,
partially. There you go.
yeah, you're in the Super Bowl. Charlie Brown from 1994 is
That's
missing.
another one that has certain rights issues
Okay,
connected with the NFL. So that one is not on this at
makes
present,
total
or not at
sense.
this present release.
Although, can I just say the NFL should be grateful to have Peanuts partnership
Oh, and
with them.
I'm not casting any aspersions on the
No,
NFL
no,
in any way. I just think that's another title. It's got really, David Benoit did the music. It's really fun. I like that. If you want to see football, there's a special called Someday You'll Find Her, Charlie Brown. Let me look up I'm looking at the book here right
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
Someday You'll Find Her is kind of contemporary with that. I think it's from the
Oh, it's
80,
number 22. It's
yes, 1981. So in that one, it's very much the little red hair girl's big part of that story and there's a lot of football playing. There's a lot of animals playing against each other and all that. And I'll tell you, the other thing that is not in here that I hope will come out soon is the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show, which is an 18 episode Saturday morning show that has a lot of football in it too. And I was the voice of rerun in many of the episodes, so I'm really fond of that. But that's 18 half hours, and I don't think they could fit that since it's sort of a different category
Right.
from the specials. But that one also is missing, and that was I when I was a kid, I was only 4 or 5 when I did the voices on that, maybe 6, but it's all from this best strips from the comic strips. It was really much more of like animating the comic strips. But there are 2 specials on here that are that as well, which are It's an Adventure Charlie Brown, which has not been out in a long time, and Charlie Brown Celebration. And those are hour longs. They're also from the 80s, and that's what led into making the Saturday morning show, but it was some of the best strips and little vignettes. So for fans of the comic strip, those 2 hour-long specials are really, they're not their sort of own narrative. They're really the strips animated. And those 2 are on here, and the celebration opens with Charles Schulz doing the opening. So he's on camera saying, "Hey, this is a special show." And I've always been very fond of that because I was one of the first things I remember as a kid seeing. And then I'm on It's an Adventure Charlie Brown. I do one of the voices on that, and it's a baseball themed one. So I'm a big
Right.
fan of those. But yeah, those are missing too. So what else do you
Two
have on your
more.
list
So
of
there's 2 more.
5?
It was My Best Birthday Ever, Charlie Brown from 1997.
So Best Birthday is a Paramount Pictures release, as is It's the Pied Piper, Charlie Brown, which
That's
was
the
one of
other
the
one.
last
There you go.
things that Sparky wrote. We did He's a Bully based on a strip that we produced posthumously. Actually, what's kind of cool on these, there's 4 or 5. Sparky passed away, I think, as many of your audience will know, the day his final strip came out in 2000. And one of the last things he wrote on was He's a Bully, Charlie Brown. I helped put that one together with my dad. I think it came out in 2007. It is on here. And it's another story about fighting against bullies.
2006. Close.
2006, excuse me. All right. Well, then you know better than I
Unless
do
this is
that.
wrong. This might be wrong.
No, I'm sure it's correct, but it was probably, if it was 2006, it was the very end of 2006, I'm sure. But I remember we did it, and it was one of the last ones we did that was based on a treatment that Sparky had put together. All the other shows from the aughts, which included Charlie Brown's Christmas Tales and Lucy Must Be Traded and I Want a Dog for Christmas, which is an hour, those are all based on the strips as well, because they were done posthumously, and we took Charles Schulz's, Sparky Schulz's strips and made the storyboards out of those strips. So those are all similar to the ones I was talking about. Oops, sorry, I hit the computer there. The early 80s. They're all really from the
Earthquake. You got to play it off
strips.
like it was an
Yeah.
earthquake.
But again, part of the beauty of the story making was Sparky wrote all of these shows over these 40 years from
Mhm.
1965 to 2000 for 35 years to make the TV shows. But he also had 18,000 plus strips he wrote every day of his life from 1950 until he's passed away. So you had, 50 years or 50 from 55. You had 50 years, 50, yeah, 1950. You had 50 years of material to draw from to make the cartoons. And they're still doing that. They're using his original strips to make the new shows that they make now. And so it's just amazing. I remember working on it. There's so much thought and philosophy and ethos and pathos and just humor in all of that work that allowed for all of these cartoons to get made, including the ones he wrote directly for the screen, but also the ones that came from the strips. And I just think, that's part of the fun of this too, is you go through this whole thing and you're still not even, you're just the tip of the iceberg of what you can find in the Peanuts world of stuff.
Yeah, there's so much out there, and I hope it sells well because I want to see more things like that. I want to see the TV show you just mentioned get a disc release too, so that we can add that. It slot right next to it on the shelf, and people will be like, collectors, when you put something like that you've been waiting for next to something else, it's like, and then like your brain just all these endorphins release, and you're like, ah.
Well, maybe you get your fans to write in to Warner Brothers and ask them to release both the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show. We also did This Is America, Charlie Brown. It was the first animated miniseries ever. It's 8 parts. Bill and my dad put that one together in the late 80s uh, for Sparky. And I loved, that's the one that I was already 12, or maybe how old was I? The late 80s. I don't know. I was 10, 11, 12. And I got to go with my dad to the Smithsonian and to all the places we featured to do research on it. and I think I've told this story before. I'm sure I maybe we've talked about this. We're talking about the music before, but one of the neat things for me was we went into the American History Museum in D.C. at the Smithsonian, and when we first walked in, there was a picture of Lucy pulling the football from Charlie Brown from the strip. And when we walked in, my dad goes, "Did you do this just for me?" They go, "No, this is our permanent. This is our temporary, but the front exhibit for American history and culture." And so we put that in the TV show. So in the TV show, when they visit the Smithsonian, they see themselves in the wall and just walk by and ignore it because it's like, why would they be out? That doesn't make any sense to them as characters. But for us, it was sort of like, wow, this does have an impact on American culture. It is relevant to talk about this. And again, that's not on here, so I probably shouldn't talk
Right.
about it. It's not on this box
You're
set.
making us want it. You're
But there
giving
you
us
go.
incentive
But it's
to write
another
more.
piece, right? But again, it's
Yeah.
a special. Those eight, uh, those 8 parts were. This was trying to get to the primetime specials that aren't part of the miniseries or the Saturday morning show, and so you get almost everything from that list. And again, some of these things haven't been available for a long time, if ever. And so the hope is you can watch them, and as you said, in order, and
Hmm.
see that evolution. And there, part of the fun of this is they are very different. Some are very much, we're going to celebrate a holiday and we're going to talk about the Christmas that everybody knows, or Great Pumpkin, which is, celebrating its 60th anniversary next year. So this is the 59th anniversary of Great Pumpkin. But then there's also like some of the ones you mentioned, like Why Charlie Brown Why. It's a really poignant, beautiful special, but isn't as well known. I think it only aired ever once that one time.
Hmm.
And it's really another good one. You also get in all of these, there's the great music. We've been focusing on the Giraldi music for so much of this, but you get all of the 15 specials that he scored, the original 15, and then you get all the other great music that comes out after that and the great storytelling that comes after that. And I think part of the fun is some people really have one that's their favorite that isn't what you'd think. It might be something that meant something to them as a kid. I remember when I was a kid, like I said, there's the ones that I got to work on as a child doing the voices, but then there's other ones that I saw that really blew me away. It's like this is a very interesting this is just an interesting special I never thought of. What I just think for me, one of my favorites was always You're the Greatest, Charlie Brown, which was where they compete in the decathlon, and
Yeah.
it was all tied to the Olympics. And my dad had done a documentary, kind of like an entertainment documentary with Bruce Jenner about being in the Olympics, and he did a thing with Telly Savalas where they went over the world featuring the Olympics, and so he was into that. So when they did the cartoon with Peanuts, it was kind of very much about the real decathlon at the time. And I just, as a kid, that was always great. And of course, Charlie Brown is in the beginning of the race. He's going to win. He's got the points to win the decathlon, maybe, but the final race is like the long distance run around the track. And he may not, or he may or may not have won that. You'll have to watch the episode to find out.
Okay.
But as a
Tease.
kid, that one stuck with me in the 80s as being a very, that's the one that sticks out in my memory as a kid watching these. And then there's other one. I mean, I always think my dad had, and Sparky wrote all this, so I don't know how much my dad influenced this, but one of his roommates in college was like one of Jack London's grandchildren or children or something. And so they did It's a Nightmare, Charlie Brown. Is it What's a Nightmare? I'm trying to look it up. It's from 78. So I was alive. I was about 2 weeks old when this came out. But in 1978, What a Nightmare, Charlie Brown came out. And I remember this one because the entire thing is a fever dream of Snoopy, where he's put on the team, the dog to the sled team for an Iditarod. And there's all these like huskies, and then there's Snoopy, and he kind of gets reverse domesticated. He gets turned into like a Siberian, husky, and they go in and he's like getting root beer, but he drinks like they throw $1 at a player piano. The whole thing is a fever dream for
Yeah.
Snoopy. And so for me, it's always been like, that's a really cool episode. And it is not the normal because it's very much like Call of the Wild, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it is. And so that's totally different than other things. I'll tell you another good one for me. I always thought it's from that same kind of time. Well, I mean, we're doing it right now. Like we released the Good Sport album in July for the
Hmm.
first time with the music, but
And if
that's the
people want to
edgiest.
hear more about that story, I will reference them to our video about.
Yes, check out Heath did a great podcast, a great Serial at Midnight about Good Sport, and you can hear the whole history of that. But that's one of the edgier ones. I'm not going to tell you why. You got to look. Look where Charlie Brown and Snoopy end up after their first accident in their motocross race. It's very edgy for Peanuts. It's very interesting, and that's on here too.
Yeah.
And
You know
then,
what? The dark horse for me, something that I
yes,
hadn't seen.
please.
I don't.
I was going
A
to ask you.
Flash Beagle. I've become a real big fan of the Flash Beagle.
Flash Beagle is also Roger Rabbit inspired in the sense that it's rotoscoped the Flashdance people
Mm,
from the movie Flashdance, which inspired the entire show. And it's all that disco Flashdance music.
yeah.
Desiree
It's
Gett and
so
Ed Bogus
weird.
did the whole thing. It's one of people's favorites. People
Yeah.
that are my age and older who were kids around that time. It's Snoopy puts on the wristbands and the headband, and he goes out and gets down in the discotheque, and it is a completely amazing special. It's one of the it's and they literally Bill Melendez went in and had people do the dance, and then they rotoscoped the animation over the actual dance moves for
Crazy.
Snoopy. And at the time, that was not, that was a revolutionary thing that was going on
Yeah.
from 84. And I think that that was a big hit for everybody. And again, the music's great. And the kids, it's kind of like a musical, but it's not like You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown musical, which is also on here, but Snoopy the musical is not. But you do have a couple like that one.
Here's what
So
I
what
don't
else?
understand though.
What
This I'm
else
going
have
to
you
give
done?
some
Go ahead,
constructive criticism to Warner Brothers
please.
here, because so in the booklet we've got like they're chronologically ordered, and like a Charlie Brown Christmas has this nice little description beneath it. Charlie Brown All Stars, this nice little description. You get to Charlie Brown in Love, just the air date, and I'm like, why are they deciding that some of these get a capsule summary and then others do not? That's strange to me. I mean,
I
maybe there's a reason for it. I don't know.
I'm biased with you. I would love, as you can tell, and your audience can tell, I could talk about each of these episodes for 4 hours. I would be maybe it's so that we can do podcasts like this and talk about it and
Let's
fill
do
in
an
the
audio
blanks.
commentary for each one of the specials,
We
starting in
could do
three,
that.
two,
There is
one.
there is in my booklet. There's this Meet the Gang thing where they talk about the different
Yep.
characters, which is really cool too. But
Yep.
I think each of these specials has more that could be said about it. Like we said, Flash B. Well, maybe that's to go online and do your own research, or go to these podcasts, or go to Serial Midnight and hear from us, because all of these specials to me have a special meaning to Sparky Schulz or to the audience potentially. And they are so, I mean, again, we've talked about this before. One of the things I'm so proud of with all these Peanut specials is they're not like anything else. Every other show might have had a series where they did 22 episodes, 28 episodes a year for a cartoon or a Saturday morning thing, or there was a TV movie or something. These are all specials. They got that big spinning special sign on CBS and then ABC when they'd come on. Right. They're prime time. They're prime time. They're for kids and adults, but each of them had their own sort of idiosyncratic specialness to them and made them
Hmm.
so interesting. And there's this huge collection. And it's daunting when you think about they did at least one of these, if not more, every year from 65 on. And it really is something that is unique. There isn't really something like that that had specials for 40 years of stuff, and it still continues to this day. So I'm hopeful that people get to enjoy that all at once. You can still go out. I will tell you, Warner's did a beautiful job on some of the ones we've released before, where you get the special features or you'll get the commentary you were just alluding to. And so if you go and check out,
Yeah.
if there's something you really like, I encourage people to check out some of the smaller single releases that might have that commentary or those special features. Because I still, and you and I talk about this a lot, I'm a big fan of the physical stuff where you own something as a collector and you get the art and you get the book and you get the ability to play it whenever you want, and it doesn't get altered. And I think that's a great way to do with some of these, where you get the full show. And, obviously there's no commercials
Right.
on this. Although again, there's also, I'd be remiss if I don't mention, they're also always, most of these are on Apple TV right now too. So if you're a subscriber for that, you can get it. And then we have the free windows for the holiday shows coming up here, including the October 15th, October 17th, or October 18th and 19th. Great Pumpkin is free. You don't have to be a subscriber to get it on Apple. But in addition to seeing it there with the rest of the country, you can also get these DVDs or the Blu-rays. And again, I don't have my Blu-ray copy yet, so I'm jealous that you got yours,
Yeah.
Heath. I just have my
Oh, it's
DVD, which
so
I think looks
cool.
great. But
Yes,
I
it's so nice.
I can't wait to see that. Hopefully I'll get one at some
They
point
look,
here.
well, they look great. I do need to do some housekeeping here
Yes.
because first of all, you mentioned something that I need to mention, which is that all the special features that exist for these specials, none of that is here. This is bare
Yes.
bones, just the specials, and that is going to infuriate some of the people watching this. And it is a shame because I know collectors. Collectors want to think like, okay, I don't have to keep my old stuff. I can donate those or whatever. Now I have them all on this one thing. No, you don't, because you have the specials, but you don't have all the commentaries and the even those 60s and the 70s collections that came out that we were talking about. Those had new. There was a thing about Vince Guaraldi. There was a thing about I think they did like like a profile, like a little biography of Woodstock. None of that. No special features whatsoever have been carried over, which is a real shame. It is what it is. I don't, do you want to speak to that, or you don't
Well,
have to?
I think, and again, I can't speak to it too
You
much
didn't
other
do
than
this. It's
say,
not your
like
decision, right?
on
Yeah.
mine, there's the 5 discs, and I think that they could, I'm not sure, but I think that's what they could fit because some of these are half hours, but some are
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
Several of them are hours. So I think the hope was to get the collection together for people who wanted to complete that and have everything all together. But I don't know that I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they couldn't fit them on there
I
too
don't, that's probably accurate, but
because
with,
I think they're trying to get it and not have
yeah.
it cost $1 billion. I think the price point is pretty good
Hmm.
relative to getting them individually. That's my
Yes.
understanding. But again, I would hope, maybe that's something to do for the future because I do think,
Special edition.
right, or maybe even running the commentaries anew. I don't know
Yeah.
how we could pull that off, but I'm sorry that it's frustrating on that front. I know. I mean, again, I have all of my old DVDs, not just our Peanut stuff, but anybody else's. I really value that part too. But I think this is to get the collection where you get the titles we mentioned. Like you didn't get Why Charlie Brown Why before,
Right.
unless you got the '80s collection. And maybe that wasn't what you were interested in because you really wanted to focus on the '60s or vice versa. And now because you can get all the shows, I think that's the important part of this release is to get that collection together where everybody can appreciate all but the ones we
Yeah.
mentioned.
I mean, it's as complete as is legally possible to be
I
complete.
think for the moment, with the exceptions I mentioned, that's the goal. But
Yeah.
I appreciate what you're saying, and I think that's good feedback we can share with them too.
Well, it's also just me. I'm covering my bases because people are going to ask, well, what are the special features?
No,
And
and I don't want
yeah,
anybody to be misled. I mean, this is what I said. You get the 40, at least I said I don't have the Blu-ray on the
I
DVD. I
know.
have all 40 and that booklet. And I did play the DVD and I liked it, looked really good to me in that it's a standard def. We're all blown up with the 4K world now,
Right.
but it looked really good to me the old school way of the way this worked. And I think, correct me,
Yeah.
on the Blu-ray too, is it 4:3? I'm assuming it's the
Oh
original
yeah, their original aspect
aspect ratio.
ratio for sure. Yeah.
Because I'm a
Well,
fan
I
of that because
didn't look
sometimes
I didn't check all 40 of them. I checked
no, no.
randomly.
And I just did on the DVDs, and I was happy that it was the
Yeah.
original aspect ratio because then you're not getting a pan and scan that might cut something off.
I'll tell
But
you
again,
this though. It's spring training Charlie Brown does not look good. And I don't know if that's because it probably needs a new restoration. I don't know. But
okay,
it's digitized. It's like very heavily digitized.
okay, I'll look at that. There's a couple of the more recent ones. That's not one of them, but there's a couple of them where it was made on video. It's made digitally, so there's an
Yeah.
upres effect that doesn't always make everyone happy, but they weren't done on film. The original ones were all done on 35 millimeter, and so those are pulled from those to the extent that they can be. But I appreciate the criticism there, the constructive criticism there to look at that one. Spring
Again, I'm not
training.
even trying to criticize. I'm just letting people know. What I've learned is like if you mention it and you just put it out there for people, and some people aren't going to care. You got 40 specials, so one of them doesn't look as up to snuff as some of the rest. There's probably
Well,
a reason. I guarantee there's a reason for it.
and I don't think, and spring training was never aired on television. I think it was a direct to video one. That doesn't
Mm.
that doesn't excuse anything or explain anything. I'm just saying that that's not one that was actually on
Well, it might have something to
prime
do with the
time.
elements. Like what elements did they pull for the HD? Is it an
Yes.
upscale or an upres or whatever? Let's see.
Yes.
What
And I
is
did not
that?
look at that one yet. I will take your I trust you completely, but I did not look at that one yet. But again, you are going to get the complete series no matter what
Yeah.
shape it might be in for the current moment. I do know like when I looked at the Christmas it looked gorgeous. And when I looked at some of the
Most
original
of them
ones that
do
are
look gorgeous,
older.
and Christmas has a 4K restoration, so of course that's going to look good.
Yes,
They,
and you can still,
yeah,
and by the way, for people that want to get that, I think it was either 2 years ago. I don't know. It was pretty recently. We
it was a
did
couple
the
of years ago.
UHD. There's a
Yeah,
UHD version of the holiday of I think 9 of the shows, and those I think are still in print and available for people too.
they are.
But
Yeah,
again, this is the first new physical release this year at all in both of these. So I think I'm just excited to see all of them to the
yeah.
extent that we can.
To be clear, I would rather have it be complete or as close to complete. I would rather have this than have them not included Spring Training Charlie Brown because it's not, perfect 1080p or whatever. I would rather have this.
For
So
sure.
good
For sure.
job.
And maybe
Um,
mine, because mine's on the DVD, and I didn't look at spring training to be honest with you, but
yeah.
maybe it looks a little more uniform on that. Maybe
It
not. Maybe
probably
they're the same
does.
source. We'll
It
see.
probably does. Okay, so this I think we did it. I think we've done it. Do you want to talk about you want to tease anything? You want to tease any music? You don't have to, but if you want to
Oh,
mention
I'm
anything
happy
here at the end,
to. I don't know
promote
when
some
you're
future.
I would love to just let people know what's going on because I think that is always fun. So when we last spoke, we just released You're a Good Sport, Charlie Brown in July. That thing, the Zoetrope version, completely sold out. It's on its third pressing. It sold out before the first one even came out.
Wow.
So we've pressed the third one. I think those are all gone. We have a couple of things. If you want me to share any of this, we're doing a Record Store Day listening party at 224 stores. So go look it up online, Record
My
Store
store is
Day.
one of them. They're going to do it.
Well, that's fantastic. So it's the weekend of October 17th, 18th, and 19th, the same weekend as the free window on Apple. For people who can't get this, they can go watch some of the shows on it. At least Great Pumpkin's free on Apple for that weekend, but you can watch most of the shows are on Apple as well, anytime for subscribers. But that weekend, your local store will not only have most of the records, but they're going to have, for your collectors, we have a box set of volume 1 of CDs. I think I'm holding upside down, but it's the 6 CDs we've released recently. We'll have exclusive art covers for all those. These are limited to I've done the right 500 total of these.
Oh,
There's another
wow.
500 of each of the loose CDs. This is a Joe Cool cover for You're Not Elected,
That's
Charlie
super
Brown.
limited. 500. That's like, oh,
It's for this. It's kind of for that weekend. So for
that's
that
like
weekend,
3 copies per store.
there's 224 stores doing it. They're going to do one of those 3 days, but I want to stress this. Sean, who's been on with me on Serial Midnight, Sean's the one who met Heath, who started all this with us. Sean did a 52-minute playlist. So when you go to the store, you get the entire history of Giraldi's music for Peanuts from 64 through his passing in 76, curated in the store for each store. You also get exclusive stickers they're only going to have there. There's a poster that you can, it's like a gift with purchase thing, I guess. There's a beautiful poster from our shows and music in there. They're going to do, many of the stores are going to have like a boo bag, which says, well, I not give away, but it's Halloween themed stuff. And then you're also going to get the chance to get this stuff that's exclusive only to them. There's a yellow jelly bean Thanksgiving album. There's a whole bunch of stuff from Craft Recording 2 for like Charlie Brown. There you go.
I have it right here.
That hasn't come out yet, but maybe that
Yellow.
just came out. But that's the yellow jelly bean. We've done a jelly bean because on Thanksgiving they all eat the jelly beans for the dinner.
Should I show it? Should I unwrap it and show
It's
the
up.
record?
It's whatever you want to do. We did a green jelly bean the first year, a purple jelly bean last year, and this year is the yellow jelly bean. So we're running out of jelly beans for them, but you can only get that at Record Store Day. Barnes and Noble is going to have an end cap in most of their stores of just music and movies. So you'll be able to get this at Barnes and Noble starting October 24th. And it'll be an end cap of just Giraldi music. And they have exclusive picture discs of Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Nice.
They just announced on Friday for Black Friday for Record Store Day, there'll be a gatefold Charlie Brown Christmas that's a pop-up. So when you open it, the kids pop up.
Oh my
And the
goodness.
special, that'll only be in Record Store Days. That only doesn't come out till the day after Thanksgiving. And then for the 60th anniversary of Christmas, we have more stuff to announce coming up here, but we've got exclusives at Urban Outfitters with a Leaky Pumpkin version of Good Sport. And then we have a whole bunch of other stuff. The other thing I can announce, which is not out yet, but it'll be out in January, is there's only going to be 5,000 of them, but we made a heart-shaped Be My Valentine Charlie Brown that comes in an envelope so you can give it to someone like a Valentine's Day card like Charlie Brown doesn't get.
Oh, wow.
But it's really, really, it's the coolest package we've done for a record. And that's also limited to only 5,000, but apparently those are already maybe already gone and we haven't even finished making it yet.
That's next year. Wow.
That for next year, it'll come out in January, but it's an envelope. The jacket is like an envelope with a stamp. And when you open the envelope, not a legal tender stamp, but like a stamp design, when you open it, the card is a Valentine's Day card, and inside the card is the record. And we think it's a pretty cool, if people who know the show, it's all of the show, it's all of the special. It's the only thing like it. And it's going to be also limited to the independent record stores again. And that comes out at the end of January. But that's going to be really, really cool. It's a 45, it's a heart shape, so it only has 14 minutes of music on it, but it's the best songs we think from the album released this year. But it's a pretty cool thing, and we think people are going to really like that. And then we have more to announce pretty soon for next year. As you mentioned, we have lots of anniversaries, and that's sort of our impetus behind some of these releases. But I can't tell you, the stuff we have for next year is so exciting to me. And again, we make all this for the fans of Vince Guaraldi, the fans of Charles Schulz, the fans of Peanuts, the fans of interesting record things, but we also make this for ourselves. and for the people that, just like listening to this music. And that's always our most important thing. And the same with these TV shows. These things are some of our favorite things to talk about and share with people. And
Hmm.
we have a lot coming out. To me, it seems like it's always amazing that people still really enjoy these things, some of which are 50 and 60 years old, but some of this stuff is timeless, from the specials themselves to some of the music. And then every one of the things, well, I shouldn't say that. I can't promise that. Most of the things we've released musically have bonus tracks that no one's ever heard before, that were either left in the cutting room floor or were demo things we found. Like on Good Sport, we released stuff from an industrial film. And on some of these other things, we have these bonus tracks that nobody's ever heard. And we are really excited about that, because otherwise it wouldn't exist if we didn't get it out there in this form. And again, I think there's a lot going on here for the 75th anniversary and the 60th anniversary. But I think all of next year, it's the 75th anniversary of Vince Guaraldi starting his professional music career. He started playing in 1951. And then, of course, he passed away February 6th, 1976. So it's 50 years since his passing. But we think we're going to celebrate that 25 years from 51 to 76 of all the music he wrote and performed, and try to get that out everywhere. If you're in San Francisco, the San Francisco Symphony in December 21st and 22nd has 4 shows of the Vince Guaraldi Peanuts Symphony, where the first half is all of his music and the second half is a Charlie Brown Christmas in the symphony. So we've done the Christmas thing with the symphony for a decade, but this will be the first time that music will be premiering in full with the Christmas piece. And then that'll continue into 76, into 26, with a lot of live performances. And we're hoping we can do even more of those in smaller venues and larger venues, so people can enjoy the music live from great people who play his music. So we have a lot going on here. We have at least 2 new records, completely new records in 26, maybe 3. And we have all of the other stuff we've been talking about here. So again, Heath's been our go-to guy with Serial at Midnight for all of these things. And hopefully that can continue, because we love talking to him, because I know he likes it. And again, for all your fans and the collectors, our goal is to make you guys as happy as we can, as quickly as we can. And we apologize if we can't do it quicker than we're doing. We're doing the best we can do.
You're giving it all she's got, Captain.
That's exactly right.
Do you
It's
want me to
very much
fly her
that attitude.
apart?
It's very much that attitude. Montgomery Scott is my North Star for all things engineering, both music and Starship. So
Nice.
we've got that ready to go whenever we need it.
Yeah, if anybody's watching this video and this is your first time seeing Jason here talking to me, this is like our 6th or 7th.
We've done a few.
I think it's our 7th one. We've talked about every soundtrack that's come out except for Great Pumpkin and Christmas, I guess. And there are like lengthy deep dives into how these things are created. Some of
Yes.
them have music clips in them where you can actually hear the music before you go get the record or whatever. And we've had the great privilege to get some of the bands back together for a couple of these and talk about how they created the music there in the studio. In some of the cases, these guys had not been in the same room in like 50 years or something like that. So
check
it's
out
amazing.
check out our prior videos that Heath did here, because it's been really one of the best things for Sean and I has been able to play some of the tracks that people hadn't heard apart from the shows for the musicians, 50 years after they recorded it. And so we got to get Heath put it together. We got together with these musicians to be able to listen to it and to hear their stories about it. And that's some of our previous Serial at Midnight interviews. And I think for next year, for Great Pumpkin, it's the 60th anniversary. We could totally talk about that. We could do it right now too, if you want, but I'm just saying we could do it next year too for the 60th, because I think that was always one of our father's favorite. I'll tell you 2 quick things real quick. So Charlie Brown Christmas is the first Peanuts special, 1965. It was on TV every year until recently. Now it streams for free every year on Apple, but it was on CBS or ABC for 50 plus years. The third show they did in 1966 was It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, which was always one of my father's favorites, because by that point they knew what they were doing. When they did Christmas, they were taking a big shot. It was all new to all of them. And when they did It's the Great Pumpkin, they really felt they hit their stride, both musically. John Scott Trotter had come in to help lay down to help organize the chaos, and animation wise, Bill really had a handle on how to do it. And there's all the great ghost scenes in the beginning, and all the beautiful Snoopy fighting the Red Baron as the Sopwith Camel animation, which has become the most classic images from Peanuts animation. All that's in Great Pumpkin. What people don't know as well, maybe we talk about next year is Charlie Brown's All Stars, which was the second special. They made it right on the heels of Making Christmas. It came out in the summer of '66, and that has all this dynamic animation where Snoopy is surfing. He goes into a tub and then he's surfing in the ocean. Or then there's skateboarding going on. The opening scene is Charlie Brown chasing a baseball through the neighborhood for the first minute of the show. He's just running through the neighborhood. It's some of the best animation that we ever did. And it's not as well known, but it's another one we're going to celebrate its 60th anniversary next year too. And because it's not a holiday, it's not as well known because it wasn't on every summer, but it is something that's been on quite a bit, and you can get it. You can get it on here.
Here it is.
And we have not yet released a soundtrack for that, so that may be or maybe not coming in the near future.
Jason, it is always good to talk to you. I'm going to say goodbye to you after we finish the recording, but thank you so much for coming on to talk to me about this. I'm looking forward to the next time we get to talk.
Me too. I can't wait, Heath. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for talking to us.